Hey, what's up everybody? It's LeeLos, and today we're talking about the legendary greatness of Water 7. Stay steady in the pursuit of your dreams and goals. You're born to win, you're made for greatness, and I definitely believe in you guys. Keep up the great work each and every day. So Water 7 is the arc where One Piece really gets real. A lot of the little character flaws and the Straw Hats that have just been used for comedy until now actually become real, kind of dark problems that slap them in the face, nearly break up the crew, and gives Luffy his biggest test of leadership in the series so far. Also, Water 7 is the arc where it finally dawned on me that the islands and a lot of the people in the Grand Line are just simply built different. And I personally believe this is the best arc for a lot of new readers to get started with One Piece. So Water 7 starts out with the Straw Hats nearly getting ran over by a train while they're on their boat in the middle of the ocean. We meet a strange lady Kokoro and a little girl and their pet cat, and their pet cat's actually a rabbit in disguise, and they state that Water 7 has the best technology in the world. Now, we don't know if Kokoro has knowledge of the New World or not, but I mean, if she does, then that would mean Water 7 has better technology than Germa, but I mean, honestly, I doubt it because Germa's out here cloning people and stuff. Water 7 turns out that it's actually the 7th island that the Straw Hats have visited in the Grand Line, not counting Skypiea because Skypiea takes place in an entirely different sea. Not sure if Oda did that on purpose or not, but it's pretty cool. The normal civilians of Water 7 have no fear of pirates. It's for a lot of different reasons, but one of the main ones being that their shipwrights are just straight up cracked. The shipwrights are introduced by going hammy-sammy on a pirate whose bounty was bigger than Luffy's first bounty, and they honestly low diff him. And this is a good indication that the islands are getting more powerful as the Straw Hats travel through the Grand Line, because now pirates with bounties bigger than Luffy's first bounty are being low diffed by side characters. Zoro also has a line implying that pirates, or at the very least the Straw Hats, get stronger simply by traveling the seas and surviving the Grand Line, gaining battle experience, etc., which makes sense scaling wise because the Straw Hats perform more and more impressive feats as the series goes on. Bounties aren't entirely strength based, but still a decent example of the Straw Hats getting stronger is that Luffy had a mid-diff fight with Arlong whose bounty was only 20 million, but after beating Crocodile, Luffy's so powerful that he can one-shot Bellamy, who has a bounty of 55 million. Like I said, it's not the best example of just like pure power scaling stuff, but it at least proves that the Straw Hats are becoming more dangerous pirates worthy of increasingly higher bounties. The shipwrights of Water 7 are the third instance in the story of characters with normal professions that are just really powerful anyway. We meet Polly, a man who's 24 years old and already considered one of the greatest shipwrights alive, showing us that in the One Piece world there are very young people that are already at the top of their field. Now here's where the sad stuff starts up. The Straw Hats have to deal with crew members dying and crew members quitting. The shipwrights tell Luffy and Nami that the Going Merry's mega smashed up. It's so bad that honestly it should have sank a long time ago, and he basically says either junk that thing or you're gonna sink on it for sure. Initially Luffy's like, nah buddy, that's gotta be a big lie, but Iceberg hits Luffy with that cold hard truth, telling him basically like, dude, if you're the captain of this ship, you've gotta grow up, like everyone's gonna die on that thing if you keep sailing it. And so from this moment on, we see Luffy honestly start to change a lot and begins making much more difficult, mature decisions and sticking to them. The truth is, Luffy just doesn't have the luxury of being as childish as he was in the East Blue anymore. The enemies are too powerful and the world is just like getting more and more dangerous. And pretty soon after this, we see Luffy say that he actually put a lot of thought into making this decision before announcing it to the crew. A lot of Luffy's character development is easy to miss because of a few reasons. It's pretty subtle, meaning like it doesn't happen all at once. Luffy's a very emotionally strong character and he keeps a lot of stuff to himself, and he also handles trauma and challenges very well. But when you look close into the series, Water 7 is a clear point where Luffy starts to change, and throughout the series, Luffy matures a lot. Now, this is where Oda does a great job of showing the hidden dynamics of the crew and just expanding on them as if they were like real people in our real world. So Usopp's insecure about being weak, he underestimates himself a lot, and you can honestly make a good argument that he has trouble trusting Luffy's leadership up until this point, and the rest of the crew has to decide if they're going to listen to Luffy's leadership when he has to make tough decisions, or if they're just going to quit the crew. Usopp gets stomped out, and he gets stomped out by the Frankie pirates, and they steal $200 million from him. And this is the first time Usopp openly admits to the crew that he's ashamed of being weak. Usopp, who's been shown to be very cowardly throughout the series, does one of the bravest feats out of any of the Straw Hats so far, challenging an entire gang solo when just a small number of them whooped him. Then he's just humiliated and stomped out and laughed at a second time. The way the Straw Hats react to this shows that they truly care about Usopp as a person. And the sad thing is they care about Usopp more than Usopp realizes, or more than Usopp even believes. Luffy, Sanji, Zoro, and Chopper all stroll up and just stomp down the Frankie house. They blatantly say they don't even care that the money was stolen. They're just doing it 100% out of revenge for Usopp. Oda's just really good at making like little subtle things like this very exciting. Like the fights that happened in the house were not as cool as them walking to the house itself. I just love how Oda's able to like portray loyalty, friendship, and like the hidden meanings of all these things so well well. So Usopp wakes up from his stomping, and he argues with Luffy when Luffy says that they're going to get rid of the Going Merry. They both get very angry. Usopp's not considering that Luffy's just as hurt as he is emotionally, and they both say stuff that they shouldn't have. To be fair though, Usopp should have just listened to his captain. You can reference this scene to make a good argument and say that Usopp honestly doesn't trust Luffy's leadership as much as the other Straw Hats, because Usopp is the only one out of the entire Straw Hat crew who questions Luffy's decision. He even goes as far as to say that he misjudged Luffy, got tricked by the shipwright sales pitch, things like that. After they argue, Usopp openly states he's been thinking for a while that he doesn't fit in with the crew, and this scene for me changed the way that I viewed all of Usopp's lies to Chopper specifically up until now. He would always like pull Chopper to the side and just tell him like how strong he was, just lie about how strong he was, and it makes you realize that he was trying to compensate for being weak. Basically, Usopp's just been trying to fit in, which is some really sad stuff because the Straw Hats always thought that he fit in the entire time. Usopp was the only one who thought he didn't belong there. Also, Usopp calling himself Captain Usopp all this time up until now was probably foreshadowing that he didn't fully respect Luffy's leadership up until this point, which is very sad because Luffy cared about Usopp so much that he didn't even care that Usopp was weak and cowardly. He always just valued Usopp as a person, but at this point, Usopp really couldn't see that. Luffy really handles all of these tough challenges very, very well. He sticks to his decision of getting rid of the Merry the entire time for the safety of the crew, even though Luffy himself wants to keep the Merry as well. And when Usopp quits the crew, all of the crew members are basically begging Usopp not to leave. The only ones who do not do that are Luffy and Zoro. If Luffy had begged him to stay with the crew probably would have lost some respect for Luffy, to be completely honest. Zoro and Luffy, they think on the same page about nearly everything, so it's a nice touch seeing that Zoro and Luffy were the only ones who had the same reaction of not begging Usopp to stay. Usopp challenges Luffy to a duel and the winner gets to keep the Going Merry. Nami asks Luffy to apologize to Usopp, but she pretty much like demands him to do it. But when Luffy talks to Nami, he sounds so wise and serious that it's almost like he's a different character altogether. He sticks to his hard decision and tells Nami that he's not going to change his mind. It's very mature and honestly just a great scene. This injured Usopp puts up his best fight in the series so far. For perspective, he does better against Luffy than Captain Kuro or Buggy did. Honestly, he did almost as well as Don Krieg, and Don Krieg was at full power fighting Luffy at a disadvantage because Luffy had to avoid the sea the entire time, didn't really have much footing to move around on, and Usopp is fighting a much stronger Luffy than the Luffy that Don Krieg fought. So that's something to keep in mind. It's possible that if Usopp fought the same Luffy Don Krieg fought with the same disadvantages, Usopp might have done better than even Don Krieg. And keep in mind that Don Krieg was considered the strongest human in the East Blue before Luffy beat him, showing that with planning, combo attacks, and with the dials from Sky Island, and knowing his opponent, Usopp can actually be a decently strong character that can scale relative to powerful characters from the East Blue saga, proving once again that Usopp underestimates himself a lot. It's really ironic that like right after Usopp admits openly that he's ashamed of being weak, he literally puts up the best fight of his life he's ever put up in the entire series. He does feats relative to like strong combatants from the East Blue saga, so it's pretty impressive. During this fight, Usopp displays some superhuman durability feats. Usopp's superhuman durability is likely due to his genes that he gets from his father. The same way that he's an excellent sniper and his dad's also an excellent sniper, he probably inherited some of his durability as well. So this whole fight is extremely sad. In between each attack, Luffy's having flashbacks to the good memories that he had with Usopp. Showing their bond was just really special, and this whole scene is just like mega sad. After Luffy beats Usopp, there's a flashback to Usopp painting the Straw Hat pirate flag. Then it shows the flag fluttering in the wind and then just pans over to Usopp lying on the ground in the dirt. Some sad stuff. And after Luffy beats Usopp, Luffy gives Usopp the Going Merry anyway and finishes the fight by saying, "It's been fun, Usopp." Some sad stuff. And after all this, Luffy still stands by his decision. It's super tough. This moment is some peak fiction. One of my favorite scenes in One Piece, period. It's peak. And also, this is the very moment where Zoro earns his spot as vice captain to me personally. Luffy puts on a tough act to this entire arc by sticking to his decision this entire time while the rest of the crew was freaking out. But after Luffy beats Usopp and Usopp's just left on the ground, Luffy emotionally breaks. Luffy says, "This is too much." It's one of my favorite lines in the series where Luffy's just standing there and he says, "This is too much," because it seems like it's out of character for him almost. He's reached the limit of what he can handle emotionally, and with zero hesitation, Zoro notices this and picks up the leadership from there immediately. He reassures Luffy with one of the most raw and true lines in the entire series. "That's the burden of being a captain. Don't doubt yourself. If you start becoming unsure, who can we have faith in?" That summarizes the entire theme of this portion of the Water 7 arc. Luffy's the captain, and without his confidence, the crew would probably fall apart. Luffy starts crying. Zoro realizes Luffy's at his emotional limit and immediately takes charge and makes sure that the crew follows Luffy's orders. He says, "Let's leave the ship to him This is it for us. We can never return to this ship. This scene is super sad, but honestly, it's one of the best written scenes in shonen. I'm not even kidding. It shows that even though Luffy at face value seems like a happy-go-lucky guy and that nothing bothers him, stuff actually does bother him. He just puts on a strong front because he knows that if he shows too much weakness, his crew could fall apart. And Luffy's the captain. I mean, most of his relationships in his life, he's in a leadership position, so he doesn't really have the luxury of like being a crybaby or whining about things. Like, he has to put on a strong front a lot of the time. And for people who are just reading One Piece here and there, they can easily make the misconception of just thinking, oh, this is just a happy-go-lucky Goku clone. But the reality is, Luffy, he deals with a lot of stuff, a lot of things bother him, but he keeps it to himself, so that way he can actually lead his crew and his crew doesn't fall apart. And I mean, it makes you realize that a lot of things have been weighing down on Luffy, and he's, like I said, just been keeping it to himself. For example, he lost to Aokiji. Robin was hurt because Luffy was too weak. Robin vanished from the crew. The Going Merry was going to die, and they were never going to be able to sail on it again. And on top of all of that, Usopp was quitting the crew, made Luffy beat him up while he was already injured. And then Luffy realized deep down that this whole time, Usopp doubted his leadership this whole time, which is mega sad because Luffy always fully believed in Usopp. Honestly, Water 7 is a masterpiece, and One Piece as a whole, in my opinion, is the best written shonen. To be fair, I absolutely love Part 1 of Naruto. I love Hunter x Hunter. I love Dragon Ball. Full Metal Alchemist is a masterpiece, and I like the New Age shonen too, like Demon Slayer and Jujutsu Kaisen. But as a whole, when you look at this caliber of writing, planning, character development, foreshadowing, and the world building, and the consistency of this quality to hold it at this level for 25 years, dude, it's just ridiculous. And it's like, it's been 25 years of Oda writing this series, and it's arguable that he's writing his best stuff ever right now, which is crazy when you observe all these other long-running series. They typically just tend to dip in quality around the 600 chapter mark. So, I mean, it's just incredible that Oda, some of his best work is still being produced right now. It's also the only series I've ever read that's so well planned out that the earlier sagas become a lot more interesting as you do rereads. Great examples would be like this. Like, did you know that Jinbei and Fishman Island were first mentioned while Luffy was on his way to Arlong Park? Haki was in chapter 1. The D in Gold D Roger was mentioned back in Trum Island. Wrathtail was introduced back in Skypiea, but was revealed to be Laugh-Tail about 18 years later in real time. In this very arc of Water 7, they have a flashback to Usopp saying he wants to go to Elbaf, and that means a lot going in later into this arc, and it also means a lot in the current later chapters of One Piece. So honestly, One Piece is just so good that I question how Oda's even doing this. I mean, it feels like a series that's not even made by a human being at this point, because it just goes way beyond what I honestly thought authors were capable of. And the crazy thing is, you know, One Piece is still getting better and better. So anyone who's a manga fan owes it to themselves to read One Piece. It's and honestly, I've read probably around 100 manga. I mean, I haven't listed them all and counted them up, but it's probably somewhere around there, including some seinen as well. And I like to read books in general, but just like, honestly, believe me when I say this, no piece of fiction I've ever read is like One Piece. And that's just the way it is. In my opinion, One Piece truly is the greatest piece of fiction of all time. And also, the things I was mentioning in this video is more good evidence for what I said in my previous video, where Luffy's actually a smart and mature character. He just puts all his intelligence points into things that he cares about. And he just doesn't care about a lot of things normal people care about. So it often leads him to doing dumb stuff, but he's not actually dumb. Thank you guys for watching. There's a bit more of Water 7 left to cover, but I'm going to include a little bit of that in the next One Piece Arcs Explained video, which is going to be the greatness of Enies Lobby Explained. Thank you guys for watching. Let me know what you thought about this video. Let me know what else you would like me to talk about. Thank you guys for watching, and you have a great rest of your day.